I'm Tom Baker. This is Chasing Cars. Next to me here is the facelifted Hyundai Tucson, which has just been unveiled. In this video, we're going to be checking out the changes to the Tucson, which are relatively subtle outside, much more significant inside, and there's a big change coming to the engine lineup. Finally, hybrids are coming to Australia for the Tucson. More on that in today's video. Before we get started, hit subscribe. Now, here at the global debut of the facelift Tucson, Hyundai has got plenty of trim grades on display, and I'll pop them up on the screen now. But the one that I want to focus on, the one that I want to show you is this one. This is the Tucson XRT, and we think this is coming to Australia. Hyundai Australia has confirmed its rugged XRT cars will come to our market, and the Tucson now has an XRT grade. So how can you tell the XRT? Well, it's got black highlights around the place, unique alloys, tougher cladding, and a little bit of a lift in ground clearance, but quite subtle. Otherwise, what I want to show you are the visual changes to the Tucson. So here around the front, there's some subtle reshaping of the grille. It's very sort of geometrically separate from the pre-facelift version, but it is very subtle. The front apron, however, has changed, and you have to look at these cars side by side in a photo to really start noticing the difference. It's a similar situation around the back, where really the tail lights have been left alone. It was already quite a handsome rear end on this car, but that rear apron has also received a few changes. But let's check out the interior where things are really different. So the changes to the interior of the Tucson are really significant because normally when a car gets facelifted, the interior is left alone. In this case, it's actually sort of the other way around. The exterior has been only very lightly massaged, didn't really need work, but the cabin wasn't perfect of the pre-facelift Tucson. So what you can see here is that the entire structure of the interior has been altered. That is really unusual. So what we've got is a new massive bit of curved glass in here, a bit reminiscent of modern BMWs. We've got twin 12.3-inch screens plus Hyundai's new CC&C infotainment, which is much snappier and comes with standard wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Plus, we pick up Hyundai's new steering wheel. It's got 4 dots here, Morse code for H, paddle shifters, and that rather frustrating driver monitoring system has now been added. The gear selector is no longer buttons down here. It's been moved up onto the column, bit like an Ioniq 5, which is sort of the electric alternative to this car in Hyundai's lineup. I really like this upholstered strip here on the dash, adds a little bit of warmth and texture, plus a useful shelf over here for the passenger to store loose items. Hyundai is particularly proud that they've brought back knobs and buttons, potentially trying to avoid a Volkswagen-esque situation. We've got plenty of them here. Volume, tuning, your temperature, although I'm pretty sure fan speed is still going to be operated via this little touch capacitive panel down here. You do have loads of storage, USB-C ports as well. Plus, really like this new, almost EV-esque caddy they've got in the center with your wireless charging, drive modes, big cup holders, plenty of storage, and also a shout out to the seats, which are the same as the pre-facelift Tucson, but they're comfortable and supportive, loads of power adjustment, lumbar, heating, and cooling. While the fitments are not luxurious, it's a little bit elevated, it's a nice place to be. Now, room on offer in the back of the Tucson is pretty decent for the segment. This isn't the biggest car in the class, it's actually about the middle, which is what I like because it's still relatively easy to park. Legroom's good, tow room is a little bit tight, headroom is good, and these seats do recline. In fact, they're like quite reclined and relaxed right now, but you're still getting amenities like a flip down armrest, air vents, and USB-C ports as well. Now we've come over to this dark grey Tucson because it's got 3 things you need to know about for the facelift. Firstly, matte paint is now available. Pretty upmarket option for a mainstream SUV. And you know what? It actually suits the shape of the Tucson really well. I think this looks cool. Secondly, N-Line continues to be available, and it will be available on all trims, we think, and also all engines. And that's because we need to point out the hybrid badge right here. Finally, Hyundai has a direct competitor to the Toyota RAV4 hybrid. It's only taken, what, 4 or 5 years? Still, a hybrid will be available in Australia with either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. On the Sportage, which has a very similar hybrid system, it's actually front-wheel drive only, so Hyundai has sort of one-upped their cousin there. So looking forward to driving the Tucson hybrid. Now, in bad news, the diesel has been discontinued. That was actually my preferred engine. The 2-litre petrol and the 1.6-litre turbo non-hybrid still continue. Now, let's open up this power tailgate. Still love the look of those taillights on this Tucson. Tailgate gets out of the way quickly. Boot space has not changed on this car. You've still got things like no spare on the hybrid, but you will have a spare wheel on the petrol models. You got a decent amount of room back here, although it's a little more featureless than the boot on something like a Volkswagen Tiguan. Again, you got power operation to close that tailgate. And now it's time for my first impression verdict. All in all then, a pretty safe and solid upgrade for the Tucson for its midlife facelift. It didn't need a massive upgrade. It was one of the better options in the midsize SUV segment. The addition of a hybrid certainly won't hurt. That interior upgrade is a really nice step forward. Those are my opinions. What are yours? Let me know down below in the comments. While you're there, hit subscribe and the notification bell. And as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.